Aamir Khan, welcome to the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Girish.
Now, you're here for the Indian Film Festival of Melbourne. How important are events like this in Melbourne and Australia to further grow Indian cinema audiences globally?
Well, I think festivals do a great job of connecting people. Um, and I think that cinema actually is a medium which also really connects people across cultures, across languages. And so it's great to be here.
And how do you see Australia as a base for this? You've been coming here for many, many years now, filmed a few scenes, had a big promotion event for People Live, if I can remember, quite some years ago. So how important is a country like Australia as a base for this?
Well, I think Australia is certainly an important country for us. And I remember coming here about roughly 10 years or 12 years ago for People Live and to promote the film here. And I came here to shoot. I was shooting for Dil Chahta in Sydney. I was here for almost a couple of months.
Yes.
Yeah. So Australia is definitely an important country for us. And our films are, the audience for Indian films is growing in Australia. Yeah.
And you've have a film that's just been released, Sitare Zameen Par. You play an
That's right.
arrogant basketball coach who has to train a group of neurodivergent kids. Tell us a bit about this film and what was your inspiration for what is a sequel to your first one?
Well, this film is originally a Spanish film called Champions. And when I saw the film, I really loved the film and I felt that it's telling us something so important. And the director Prasanna is the person who got me this film. He had also written an Indian adaptation, a Hindi adaptation to the original. The original is a wonderful film. It's a really heartwarming film, and I found myself laughing and crying as I was watching the film. It's so uplifting and it's so sensitizing. It really sensitized me as a person. And I felt it's a great story that I felt that Indians, in India, who would not ever watch a Spanish film, I was very keen for Indians to watch this film, and which is why we decided to make this into a Hindi film. Um, I think it really, I felt that it's a film that really sensitizes us about the issue of inclusion, and which is why it was so important to me.
Of course, this and many other films are even seeing audiences, grow. And I'm reading even in East Asia, even China, Turkey, South Korea. How do you explain that growth?
Well, I think that in my case, my audience grew a lot in the East, in countries like China, Singapore, and Japan, Korea. It happened, quite honestly, it happened thanks to piracy. Three Idiots was a film I did in, I think, 2011 is when it came out. And the film kind of traveled on its own. It took off in a big way, and it kind of went viral all over the place. Uh, but I'm really happy that it did because I feel that it connected me to a huge audience which otherwise was not familiar with my work. And it was the start of a relationship, with a new audience for me from countries where audiences would not traditionally be watching Hindi films.
Yes.
And so I guess thanks to piracy.
Yes, and I suppose one way to circumvent that, something that you have been doing, is to sort of introduce films and put them up on YouTube for a cost of $2 Australian dollars or 100 rupees per film. How much has that got
But
to
that's
do?
a new thing. That's a
Yes.
new thing, Girish. That's something that I've done because I feel that as a creative person, I want my film to be able to reach everyone across the country in India, and not just India, but everyone across the world. And I think that today, with YouTube being such a powerful platform, almost everyone across the globe uses it. Uh, but thought really came to me was for an Indian audience because we have 1.4 billion. Our population is about 1.4 billion, but we don't have enough cinema halls, brick and mortar cinema halls, to service such a large population. So for many years, I was struggling with this thought of how can I reach my audience. The only way is to build, cinemas. Just to give you an idea, India has roughly 9,000 theaters. And in comparison, US, which is one third our population, has 35,000. And China, which is similar in population, has 90,000 theaters. So we have 9,000, you know. And out of these 9,000, about half of them service the South languages. So for a Hindi film, you have roughly 4 to 5,000 screens available. It's too small a number. And for the longest time, I was struggling to come up with, an idea to reach my audiences across the country. And then over time, internet grew in India, internet penetration grew in India. And one important thing happened, the government of India came out with a scheme, UPI, which enabled Indians to use electronic payments very easily. And that actually was a big shift again. So internet growing, electronic payments, India is now the number one country in electronic payments. And YouTube being a platform that's so, it's comes pre-loaded on a lot of devices and phones. So I felt that now is the time finally where my film can actually reach a large audience. Uh, and I think that really helps cinema on the whole. It's something new that I've tried. I think that um, after my theatrical release, I think this is would be my preferred platform to go to as the second window, as a pay-per-view.
Yes. Amir, your films in the past have had so much to do with social issues. Dangal, for instance, is the highest ever grossing film in Indian history, a massive hit. You play a father who trains his daughters to wrestle. But tell me, are other subject matters in your films inspired by the changes that you would like to see in India?
Well, sometimes, not always. Um, it's not as if I'm looking for social themes to make films on. I'm very sharply aware that when an audience comes into a cinema hall, they're not coming in there for a lesson in sociology. For that, they would have gone to college. So the fact that they've come to a theater or a cinema hall, they want to be entertained. And I'm very sharply aware that my primary responsibility as an entertainer is to entertain. But when I come across a script which also talks about something really important, it's just, that much better.
Yes. But over the years, you've acted in and produced considerably controversial movies like PK, the question that questions the nature of India's godmen. You have been criticized at home and by some sectors of the population, a target of hate, boycotts. How have you dealt with that over the years?
Well, it's as an artist, I have to make what I feel strongly about, and I do it with a lot of respect and love. And each time, it's really up to the audience how they receive it. And while PK did receive some sort of um, a negative reaction from part of the audience, you might also be aware that it was one of the biggest hits of Indian cinema, PK. So clearly, the large majority of Indians loved it. Yeah.
Is the Indian audience, I suppose, more aware of, social issues, political issues, that they are now more mature enough to be able to consume such films without, the sort of negative reactions that you faced in the past?
Well, you must understand that when you say negative reactions, you're talking about the internet, and you're talking about trolls and trolling. You might also be aware that many times it's bots who have been agencies who have been paid money to write negative stuff on the internet, on social media platforms. So I think for me, really, the success of a film comes from the actual audience, people who pay money to go to the cinema hall and watch the film. And PK was a huge hit.
Yep. And
And still is actually. It's one of people's or Indian audience's favorite films.
Yes, I'm sure it is. Now, is the film industry in general, in particular Bollywood, perhaps taking on a more nationalistic tone? Many papers been written about this as well. It's not something that is particular to Bollywood. We've seen this done for decades in the US and more recently in China. But is that becoming a more significant feature in Indian cinema?
You know, I wouldn't be aware because I'm so lost in my own world of my own films. Uh, I'm not aware of how many, what kind of films are being. I have to confess, I watch very few films. Um, and it's been, I mean, I'm more of a reader. So from a very young age, I read a lot. So I find that even now I'm more attracted to books and yeah. So I'd be the wrong person to ask this question to.
Yeah. And finally, Aamir Khan, you've been acting since you were 8 years old. You know, a decade spanning
Oh, I wouldn't say
five
that.
plus.
I
Well,
wouldn't say
you
that.
had
I
your
come from,
first minor role since that, I suppose.
yeah, so I come from a filmmaking family. And on a couple of occasions, once my uncle and once my father put me into a film in a small role. I wasn't really an actor then, and I don't even remember what I did. So quite honestly, I look at myself as an actor from Kayamat se Kayamat tak.
Yes, but in all these decades that you have been acting, producing, directing, what keeps you going, Aamir Khan, and what's next for you?
The love of stories. I love stories. And from a very young age, I like listening to stories, reading stories, and which is why I started reading books at the age of 6, I think it was, and I really took to it. So it's stories and characters that have shaped me personally, and that's what I love. That's why I'm here.
And you think you'll keep on going for at least another decade, Aamir?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think that far ahead.
Okay. Well, we do hope to see those stories come to life in cinema as you have been doing for so many years. Aamir Khan, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Really grateful
Thank you.
for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Girish. Thank you.